All right, my friends, welcome back to Frog Boy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we're talking about PC gaming. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you help the channel grow. But here's the thing. So, I've been actively PC gaming now for a little over 2 years. Started out with the Nvidia platform, went with a 3050 Ti laptop, 3060 Ti desktop, up to a 3080 10 gig. The experience wasn't completely terrible, but it really did kind of leave a pretty bad taste in my mouth in terms of like long-term value for what I paid for the Nvidia platform. And so that's kind of carried over into some of the content that I've made recently. But I want you to know that like me making this decision going forward is pretty much just it's pretty much just where I'm at with PC gaming right now. And since I left the Nvidia platform and went over to AMD and bought the 7900 XT, I've been happy. I've been feeling good about it. I've been gaming more on PC. I've been utilizing the power of this card and the capabilities that it has to enjoy some of these newer games that are coming out. Like I just got done playing Starfield on there. 45 hours into Starfield now, and absolutely incredible experience the whole way through. Didn't have to worry about any bugs or glitches or slowdown or performance issues or anything like that. It just was a smooth experience all the way through the game. So it's like, when I say that I'm never gonna I'll never go back to Nvidia again, like in the thing, like I mean that. Like I mean that. Like, look, man, everybody kind of does at some point kind of choose a side, and I know that I've made recent videos talking about like sometime I might go back to Nvidia, but I'm at a state of mind where like I can see through all the nonsense, all the marketing, all the PR, everything with Nvidia, and I'm just like, wow, dude, like people really have this ability to create and make up opinions about other platforms that they didn't even see. So I'll be straight up honest with you. I had a lot of anxiety when I bought that AMD card. Like that first couple of weeks, I had some pretty decent anxiety about making the switch, and it was one of those things that like it really did kind of weigh down on me. But the reason why I'm making this video today, let me just go ahead and tell you this. Like I said, I had a lot of anxiety switching from Nvidia to AMD just because of all the negative things that you always hear in all the comment section, over on Reddit, everywhere. You're always just hearing like this negative stuff about AMD, or every time they have a product launch, there'll be that one or two reviewers that are like, I had this problem, and I hope they can get it fixed, and it's almost like they always go out of their way to take a jab at AMD to try to knock them down a peg. And it's like, look, man, that 7800 XT is going to have new technology in there that's going to be able to power that thing forward. And if we've learned anything from the AMD Radeon cards from last generation, those things are still trucking along. That 6800 XT, that 6900 XT, that 6950 XT, those cards are doing great still. And I mean, they're doing so well that that these reviewers are telling you, ooh, I don't know if I'd buy a 7800 XT because that 6800 XT is... And when I hear things like that, that makes me giddy inside. That's like, wow, dude, that's a testament. But like these new cards, like this 7900 XT or 7800 XT, that is basically replacing the 6800 non-XT version or whatever. It's basically, AMD saying, hey, it's going to replace that one. They might actually be coming out with a new naming scheme, like 6800 XTX, like there's the 7900 XTX, and then the XTX, and they do have a precedent for this card with the 7900 GRE. They could easily rename that the 6800 XTX, and then bring that out, you know, at a price point that slots in between the 7900 XT and the 6800 XT, and be able to still market that product and charge a reasonable price for it. And that card would definitely surpass what the 6800 XT is right now, and still give you some time to and still give that card enough time over the next, you know, while for the drivers to mature, for the software to get better, for all the features and everything that are supposed to be available on the 7000 series graphics cards. I do feel much better about the AMD stack than I do the Nvidia one. So I want to tell you guys kind of a story and kind of the thing that got me thinking about this today. So I was actually looking at some of my old Spider-Man videos from when I was still on the Nvidia, like when that game launched. I was still on the 3060 Ti, and I was noticing just how janky that game was, running it on that 3060 Ti. Like I'm still kind of the, you know, the kind of gamer like I still play consoles, so I can still kind of deal with that like, oh, if a game slows down a little bit or this or that or just some sort of performance issue that kind of just breaks the immersion for a minute, but then you're right back into it because it recovers quickly. I was still in that mindset. I'm still kind of in that mindset. So like some of that little stuff doesn't really bug me as much as it would bug the other guys that are just like, oh, I'm an elitist and I'm a purist in PC, blah blah blah. Like I'm just not that guy yet. I'm not on that level. I'm still a little bit. You know, I can deal with things. I can look at things for what they are and be like, okay, that makes sense. It is what it is. Whatever. I still want to play the game. I'm gonna play it. It doesn't matter. I'm still that guy that's gonna buy the game day one. It doesn't even matter how many bad games I go through. I'm still always going to forgive EA every time they put out a bad game. I'm still gonna do it, even though I know I shouldn't, and I should just wait 5 months until Jedi Survivor gets fixed and play it. But I like to play my games day one, and I sit here and I wait for them to come out, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I let myself get to a point where it's like, man, I want to play that day one. And that's why I think I'm good as a reviewer, because I like to get in there and I like to play the games day one. And if the game, if the overall package is good, then I'm good with that. But when it comes to what the experience that I was getting with Spider-Man, okay, and all this just like came flooding into my head today. I was like, man, because I remember all the little PlayStation fanboys would always come and tell me that, like, your 3060 Ti is weak, your thing's weak, and then you had like NX Gamer. I would like to apologize for the things I said to NX Gamer and about NX Gamer on the channel, because I was still in a state of mind where I was unwilling to accept that my 3060 Ti PC that I spent $1,700 on was going to get outclassed by a $500 console. I was in denial, and that's fine. I mean, like, I didn't know I didn't know as much about PC as I do now. So yeah, I was in denial, and I was still in denial when I got the 3080. That like, this guy pretty much broke it down. Like, look, man, you're gonna struggle with these cards, and I didn't want to hear it, because I was like, no, man, you don't understand, PlayStation fanboy. I've got an Nvidia graphics card, and it is the best. You know why? Because everybody says it is, and I like what DLSS is doing for me. It looks so good, and I can play games that I couldn't play before at 4K on my 4K TV and use you see where I'm going with this? Like, I was so gosh dang delusional about Nvidia being the best that I completely said, you know, negative things to this guy when he was just saying the truth, basically. That, look, man, your PS5 is probably going to be better optimized than these cards this generation, and everything NX Gamer said came to pass, and it is, and it's depressing, and it was extremely embarrassing that I would sit there and I would bang on about this Nvidia being the best, and come to find out the PlayStation 5 is like on par with a 30 series graphics card because of limitations that Nvidia put into these cards. Now, does the PlayStation 5 deliver the same same FPS and same like visual quality? Obviously not. The 3060 was stronger. The 3080 is definitely stronger than that. I mean, it is. But now that the PlayStation 5 has more VRAM than either of those two cards, the PlayStation 5 will be farther into the future than those cards, unless you're going to play at 1080p or whatever. Well, I mean, I guess the PlayStation 5 is about 1080p. So, I mean, that's pretty much where you're looking at. And that does suck, because when you look at that, when you're like, dang, dude, I can get a PlayStation 5 that's going to have games that are going to be a lot better optimized. They're going to have better upscaling tech, that are going to make them look good. And they're going to be, because if you put a PlayStation 5 or a Series X on a 1440p monitor, they look absolutely pristine. Final Fantasy 16, absolutely incredible. Forspoken, absolutely incredible. Horizon Forbidden West, absolutely incredible. Gran Turismo freaking 7, beautiful. God of War, spectacular looking. Not a flaw that you could find on any of those games on a 1440p monitor. They look crisp, they look clean, they look beautiful. And they feel good to play. So when you look at that, and you look at just how embarrassed I feel now, like I felt like after thinking about that today and letting it play in my mind, that was so embarrassing. So embarrassing that I'm sitting here and I'm trying to play these games that run just fine on a PlayStation 5 on my souped up, the best Nvidia graphics card, whatever. Like that's embarrassing. And now that I look back at it, and the way I, talked down to NX Gamer like he was just another fanboy channel or something, like Digital Foundry, always trying to throw shade at Xbox or trying to make PlayStation look better. I get why they do it. I do. I 100% get why they do it, and I've been kind of doing the same lately too when it comes to these games. Coming out with a lower resolution or 30 frames per second. It's because, look, man, those are your options, man. If you've got a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, man, like you have to kind of make the decision. Do you buy the right screen for your console, or do you continue to get mad that every time a game comes out and it's not 4K? I speak from experience, because that was me last generation watching Digital Foundry, thinking like, oh man, waiting there for him to, oh my gosh, what's the resolution? Can I buy this game? Seriously waiting there like that, trying to figure out what it was that I wanted, and I passed up a lot of good games by doing that. So when I look back across the way I feel right now with the way with the way that this AMD card performs, and the level of performance that I get, the ultimate overall visual quality that I could achieve with most of these games, I feel a lot more secure, especially after seeing how the 6000 series is performing in these newer games. I know, or I have comfort and confidence feeling that like my 7900 XT will be able to push further into the distance than what I would have gotten out of those Nvidia cards, and potentially might even push past what the 4080 is going to be able to achieve this generation, depending on how things continue to expand. I mean, purely from a VRAM experience, but because VRAM is pretty important, bus rate's pretty important, VRAM's pretty important. You do start to see things start to struggle after a while. I've been reading up, and I've been doing a lot of research, and I've been trying to find that middle ground for me to what I just want realistic expectations when it comes to PC, and that's what I want to be able to deliver to the community, is realistic expectations. Now I feel like I could potentially live with what AMD has to offer going forward. I find the ray tracing performance of this card very acceptable, because I was coming into it thinking I wasn't going to have any, and you know what I mean. Like I was listening and feeding into all the doom and gloom that people were putting out there, and the negative energy that the internet was building around AMD as a brand. And you just have to take a step back, and you just have to ask yourself one question. Okay, so I've got a PlayStation 5. or I got an Xbox Series X or Series S. These are all running with AMD APUs. So obviously the AMD APUs can create a good console experience and deliver me beautiful visuals, pretty decent frame rates on a lot of stuff. So I've seen AMD in action and deliver an experience, but then I've also seen AMD, have like frame rate issues or something like that. Maybe a game's not optimized, but then when they get optimized, they run better. If you need any proof of that, you can just go back and look at Jedi Survivor, and you'll see that you can get a good looking image quality on a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. I mean, like, to date, PlayStation's got some pretty dang good looking games. I've played Starfield on my Xbox Series X. If you're looking at the Series X and the PC version side by side, it is extremely similar. It looks very good. And we know that these consoles have got a little bit more headroom to push up and down, like visuals and stuff. Obviously, they're using upscaling techniques that are getting you a better image quality. So we've seen AMD in action. So why wouldn't that be scalable to a full-on AMD build? And that's what I asked myself. Is something to help calm my nerves and help calm that anxiety. It's like, look, man, you're already playing on AMD. What do you got to lose, man? You got 14 days. You could send it back. You can do whatever. But I mean, after I bought the whole build and put it together, it was like, yeah, I'm already in too deep. Let's just roll with it. Fully prepared, to go back. I was fully prepared to go back to Nvidia. But I feel like I'm at a place now with AMD that I feel more comfortable. I do. I feel more comfortable than I ever did with the Nvidia platform. I feel like it's more user friendly. I feel like I get what I paid for, and I feel like I'm not getting charged for extra features that, frankly, they do work, but to an extent. They only work to a certain extent. Like if you're using, your upscalers and stuff, and you're wanting to push these newer games, and that's something that I am going to take into consideration in this channel going forward. We're going to look at the upscaling tech. I'm going to stop being so anti checkerbirds and FuzzK and all of that stuff, because instead of focusing so much on pointing that out and pointing out all these flaws, I just want to find a way to be positive about my gaming experience. Because even though I have a channel you come to watch, and technically I'm an influencer or whatever, I don't really intend to influence people, but I know that I'm going to influence people, man. I'm not a bad guy, and people listen to me and stuff, and I want to give you the best information possible. I do. I want you to have the best gaming experience. But there's always somebody out there that's always going to have a negative take on some of these things, and it's going to create in your mind. It's going to instill doubt. It's going to instill biases that you might not have, or it's going to make you look for things that you probably wouldn't even have noticed. To tell you the truth, if Alex Battaglia wasn't always talking about the fuzz way in the distance when you're playing with our FSR and zooming in 400% to show you the little bit of detail, dude, I don't know. People would have I really don't know if people would have cared about it as much as they do now. You know what I mean? I know that seeing a little bit of fuzz, or because I used to nitpick that on the PlayStation 4 Pro because I had an Xbox Series X that didn't do that, or I had an Xbox One X that didn't do that. The picture looked sharper, it looked cleaner, and it looked better, whereas the PlayStation version looked a little bit fuzzier, and I was like, man, I like that better on the 4K, and so I started nitpicking that, because I am kind of a visual person. I am. I've always been a visual person, man. I like games that look good. I like them to look good, but I can play other things too. I can, and after a while, the gameplay and the mechanics and the overall experience will take over, and I'll stop worrying so much about the visuals, and I'll start worrying more about the gameplay and the overall experience and having a better time. So when I say that I'm going full on AMD, and I don't think that I'll be returning to Nvidia like ever. Like I have no desire. Like whenever I see like Nvidia in like when I'm going through like Amazon or something and it's showing me stuff I used to look at, I just have this this thing. It's like I went to a restaurant and the food didn't taste good, so I ain't going back there for a while. You know what I mean? I have it's kind of like that feeling now when it comes to Nvidia, and man, they did this. They did this to themselves. You know what I mean? Like they did this to themselves. I took a chance on AMD coming in, and see, here's the thing, man. Like I came into AMD with such low expectations that their product absolutely blew me away. Like it's incredible. It's incredible from what I came into it expecting. And I mean, like with Xbox, you know, coming from PlayStation, you know, that like PlayStation's the best, and then I come into Xbox, you know, like with low expectations, and it absolutely blew me away. And that's the thing you got to tell yourself. If you ever do plan on switching over to AMD and you want to start saving some money and being able to afford those every 2-year upgrades, like saving that money off of that Nvidia GPU literally could be the cost of you upgrading to the next, you know, AMD card and giving you the funds to update your technology every generation, staying in your product stack, staying in your place in the product stack, or maybe even going a little bit higher because you have the extra money to do that. You can bump yourself up a tier. Like say you're a 3060 guy or a 60 series guy, and AMD's card is a little bit under, like their 60 series is a little bit under, but then their 70 series equivalent is just a little bit over that 60 series. Man, if you just boop, and then you get more power over here, like you can upgrade yourself from a 60 class to a 70 class performance for a few bucks more. And that's what I like about AMD, because I feel like you have better options. I feel like you have better control over your overall, you know, price to performance ratio when it comes to AMD. I do. I feel like you, like right now, like the thing is what everybody's comparing these 7700 and 7800 to is the 4060 Ti and a 4070. So a 4070 is $600. You've got, boom, right here at $800 or $600. We got 600, and then you got $500. But if you just go right up just a little bit more and get yourself a 7900 XT, dude, you've destroyed that and the 4070 Ti in one fell swoop, and you've upgraded yourself to a higher platform. And that's the thing, and I like that about AMD. And it's kind of like I do like RDNA 3, RDNA 2 are, obviously we've seen them in the consoles. We've seen what they can do. They are they've delivered some pretty good stuff, and they've also, you know, kind of made us scratch our heads like, where's our 4K? You know, like I get that, but I mean, we're talking about 12 teraflops, and we're talking about 10 teraflops versus 51 teraflops. Like there's more power there to be able to do what you want to do. And I'm telling you guys, even upscaled 4K on these PCs with max settings, it looks incredible. And you get the performance room to really adjust your performance and go above and beyond. You're not stuck with these 30 frames per second caps or 60 frames per second caps, or, you know, like you are able to adjust that and be able to play it however you want to play. And that's incredible. Like all of your old games, like if you go back and you look at all the games that you put into your Xbox or your PlayStation, and you buy them digital or whatever, those games are always stuck there unless the developer upgrades them. On the PC, man, if you came in, you know, with a 1050 card and you're playing this game, and then you come back with a you know, a 4060 or whatever, and you're playing that same game, it's like automatically a free upgrade. And it's cool. Like I like that fact about PC. And there's the more and more I get into the PC experience, the more I start to really realize just what I've been leaving on the table for so long by opting for convenience. Like seriously, you can go to 7-Eleven, you can get a gallon of milk for $4.50. Or you can just go over to the grocery store and get it for like $2.50. You're paying so much more for the convenience of just going to the gas station versus going to the grocery store. And so like is what you do in your mind is like you'd be like, okay, man, the grocery store's like a mile farther away. Let me get all these things together that I need, and then just plan a trip, and then you go to the grocery store, and then you save all your money, and you buy all your stuff, and you come home. Unless if you keep running to the grocery or to the 7-Eleven every 10, 15, or 3, 4, 5 times a week, to pick up odds and ends to come back, and then you've spent like twice as much money on that 7-Eleven run over the week. If you would have just waited and or planned things out so that you had the budget and you had the time to just go over and get your whole bag, your whole cart full of stuff at the grocery store, and save less money and spend less money than you did all week just running back and forth to 7-Eleven, that saves you money. And that's the same with PC. If you keep feeding the Xbox or the PlayStation ecosystems, and you keep feeding them and feeding them and feeding them, by the time you're done feeding them, you could have built 5 PCs and had like a whole freaking collection of games on Steam, because Steam, you can get games on Steam pretty cheap all the time. Like there's always sales on Steam and everywhere else to where you can find ways to acquire, a code for brand new games even coming out for like a little bit more than half price. There's all this money that you can save. You don't have to pay for online saves. You don't have to pay to play video games online. All the money that you save from just getting the PC ecosystem versus all the money you throw into this console, to have limitations and walls and everything. And I'm not saying that the consoles are bad. They obviously serve their purpose. If you're somebody that buys and plays like 1 or 2 games a year, okay, man, get a console. But if you're an avid gamer that plays and spends a lot of money on video games, get a PC, man. That is the place for you. I promise you. You can plug it into your TV. It's so much more user friendly, I believe, than it ever has been before. I mean, if I can stumble my way through it, guys, after being a console gamer for like 37 years, I'm pretty sure you guys can do it too. Like, I'm pretty sure that you can, because you don't have to worry about all the other stuff that I do, the content creation, all the other stuff that I'm putting on my PC, and all the programs and everything I'm doing. All you got to do is download the EA app, the Ubisoft app, the freaking Xbox app, Steam, GOG, and all the little loaders for all of the game companies like Rockstar's loader and Battle.net and all that. Put them all on your PC. They're all little windows. Boop, 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 run them all across the top, and then just pick the one that you want to play the game in. And then buy lots of storage so that you can freaking load all your games, start building up your backlog bigger, greater, better than you've ever done before, and start to experience gaming like you've never freaking played a game before. And I'll tell you, for you older gamers that are like me, the biggest thing that I've noticed going from console gaming to PC is monitor size. So I started to feel like I was starting, like my eye hand coordination and my stuff was like I thought it was starting to fail me. Like I was like, oh man, dude, I just want to play this game, but man, I'm enjoying it, but no. Once you go to a smaller screen where you can see everything in your vision, your eye hand coordination automatically improves. You get better. You can play longer again. It's nice. I get it. I know. I'm just like you. I got a big screen right there. I got a big screen in the front room. I'm just like you, man. Like, I love my big TVs, but they are not as good for gaming as they should be. TVs are actually very poor for gaming. You know, I mean, like your LG OLEDs and stuff, obviously they've got like higher refresh rate and stuff, but like your 60 FPS TVs, they're not good for gaming, man. They're not built for that. They've got really high latency, where on the monitor you've got like instant latency, and it just feels better. It feels better. It looks cleaner. It's such just having a freaking monitor 2 feet away from you. I'm not even joking. It makes you feel like you're freaking a kid again, sitting in front of the TV with the little freaking Nintendo controller, just playing and going nuts. Like, that's what it feels like. I feel like, whoa, man, I'm like right in the game and I'm feeling everything. Whereas sitting on a TV across the front room, I'm like, oh, I feel old. I feel like I'm old, and I feel like I'm struggling. I do. I feel like I'm struggling, but like sitting this close and playing my games, absolutely incredible. I don't know, man. I think PC is greatly, and even if you've got an Xbox or a PlayStation, go get a 1440p monitor, hook it up to that, and have fun. Enjoy your gaming. Enjoy gaming, man. You don't need a big TV. Well, I mean, they are nice, whatever. They look great. I get it, man. There's so much like there's so much pressure these days to buy these products, to have the best, to have this, to have that, and like FOMO these days is so freaking. It's extreme. Like, it is extreme to deal with this stuff on a daily basis, man. Like, it just, like, you get on your phone, you flip up, there's ads everywhere showing you products, and you're just like, come on, man. I just want to go a whole day without wanting something. Just one day. Just one day I want to not be bugged by all these ads and all this nonsense. And like, I get it, man. I get it. Like the TVs, the PCs, all the stuff. I do believe after I even after all the money I've spent on Nvidia and everything, just trying to get to where I'm at right now, I do feel like I'm still going to save money, and I do feel like this stuff is pretty much already paid for itself. Like, I do feel like that. Just with all the money I save without having to pay for online gaming, all the cheap game codes I get for all the games that I've already had, and then, like, if you transfer your Xbox, like a pretty decent amount of your Xbox games will transfer right over. Not to mention, like, you can pay $100 a year and play every EA game that comes out day one. If you're a sports fan, you get everything day one, like usually like 3 days early access for $100 a month. Everything they put out that year, $100. Imagine that. Like the average EA game is $70, and you get all of them. You get all of them. I've played every single EA game this year on PC. I've bought like the Xbox versions of a few of them, like the Dead Space remake and stuff. But everything else I've played. I'm gonna play. I just got done playing Immortals of Avium on there for $15. Ubisoft Plus the same way. If Ubisoft gets back to making games like they used to and being able to put them out, at a regular schedule, that would 100% be worth paying for that to be able to play those games. There's, Xbox Game Pass on the PC. You get that for $10, $11 a month or whatever. Like, you've got so much access to so many games on PC that you can't even get on your consoles, that just make that transition even more worth it. So here's my recommendation after all of that. My recommendation, if you're gonna get a PC, get a bigger case. Get a bigger case, like this H7 Flow. Spend more money on your motherboard. Spend more money on your CPU. You want to get a good CPU, and you want to have a good power supply that gives you room to, like, at least 1,000 watts. And then you can get like a 3060 or a lower end card, that's going to give you 1080p entry level, 4K, whatever, like on your older games. Most of them cards are going to do 4K 60 on a lot of your older games. No problem. They're gonna do it. You'll be able to get some 4K 60. Might struggle a little bit at the newer games, get you, pretty much a console experience, but that will at least get you in the door. Because you can always, if you focus on your CPU, your motherboard, your RAM, all of that stuff, if you focus the money there at first, so that you can build those up, your CPU is going to last you way longer than your graphics card. Like, way longer for gaming. Like, your CPU is going to last you a long time. If you get an 8-core CPU, you're going to be fine. Like, you're going to be fine. If you're not doing, like, the streaming, I put this 5900X in there, and I'm seeing very minimal upgrade over that. So, I mean, like, the 5800X, you're going to be at least 6 years or whatever. You should be 6, maybe even 8 years, depending on the games you play. You're gonna have some longevity if you just get a little bit better CPU and maybe not as much graphics card at first, and then start saving up, and then right when that way, then the only thing you've got to worry about, like when the 50 series comes out or the 8000 series, is which top end card do I want to buy to play all of my old games. And then all of the games that came out you know, because you weren't buying them. You'll be able to save that money and then put it right into that, and then boom, get you a good graphics card, and then you'll be able to pick those up for pennies on the dollar. And there you go, man. Like it is a bigger up cost front, but you can do it for you could you could build this PC that I got right now for under 2K, and that's at least with 1 terabyte of SSD storage. Everything else, like, yeah, you could definitely do this for, man, you probably do this for like $1,500, maybe 16. Yeah, probably maybe 16. I think it was about 1,600. You could potentially do this with a decent CPU. No, because the CPU, you'd have to buy the CPU about $300 for like a 5800X or something. You could easily build this PC for under $2,000 and have a 4K monster that will play 4K games, even on these newer games using upscaling and everything. You could get over 60 frames a second and really enjoy these on your LG C2 or C1 or CX or whatever you got. So, all right, my friends. Whoa, this is a long video. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, man. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one, and I greatly appreciate you coming around and watching these videos. Thank you.